Hello, what is up guys? Welcome back to another tutorial video. Today we'll be taking a look at slash commands and creating some basic moderation commands such as the kick, ban, and timeout feature. For those of you that have followed my previous three tutorial videos, I will go ahead and show a timestamp on the screen right now, which you can jump to get a head start. For the rest of you, I'll be going over the step-by-step process of creating and setting up the bot. So the first thing you'll want to do is go to the Discord developer portal, which is shown right here at this link, and we're going to go ahead and create a new application, and you can call it whatever you want. I'll call it modbot, create, and go here to the bot tab, click on that, and go ahead and add a bot, and click on yes, do it. Over here, you'll need to copy your token, and down here, you will need in the OAuth to go ahead and add our bot to the server that you want. So go to OAuth and URL generator, and here you'll want to select bot, which would allow you to invite your bot, but also you'll need this applications.commands here. This will allow you to create slash commands for that guild, which will be needed in here, otherwise your slash commands will not work. And down here for bot permissions, I recommend just for now using that administrator, and then you can just copy this, open it up in a brand new tab, and go ahead and add it to your server. For me, I already have a bot created, so I'm going to be using that instead, but you would take this step if your bot is completely new. Now I made a new folder, so we're going to go ahead and get this started. So first thing I'm going to do is npm init, and we're going to go ahead and this will create a package.json file here. I'm going to go ahead and create an index.js, which is going to contain our basic code to load in the bots. And also we'll need to install a couple of packages. So the first thing that we'll need is the discord.js package. And the other thing we'll be using is .env. In here, we'll be able to create a .env file, which is going to contain our token, which I will be taking off screen right now. But you will be including something like token equals, and then earlier, remember when we copied that, you'll want to paste that here. It should look like some long string. I'm going to go ahead and paste that in here, and I'll be right back. With the .env, make sure that that is not exposed. If you're uploading it to a public GitHub, just make sure that you don't include your env file, and make sure your token is well protected, because again, anyone with that token is able to have full access to your bot. Now in the index.js, let's go ahead and set up the basics. So const discord equals require discord.js. So we want to import in the discord.js package, and we're going to want to require.env.config, and this will help us load in our token in a minute here that we'll be using. Const client, I'm going to go ahead and create our Discord client, which is going to allow us to log into the bot. And in here we'll want to include something called intents. So intents is able to give us ability to see certain things. So we'll add guilds, I believe is the only one we'll need here. And we want to create something called letBot, a variable that will contain our client. If you follow my previous tutorials, you'll have this variable created. I'm just creating it here again for consistency with what I had before. And the client.onReady, which is triggered when the bot has first logged in. We'll just go ahead and console.log, logged in as client.user.tag, and finally client.login process.env.token, which will fetch the token from our .env file, which we called all caps token. So now from this point forward, we're going to be adding the actual slash command relevant material. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is creating a new folder here. We're going to call it slash commands. This will be containing all of the slash commands that we add, and any future slash commands will be added here. And I'm also going to be creating a folder called handlers, If you're following my previous tutorial, you already have this created and you already have like events and commands in there. We're going to add a new file called /commands.js. And in here, we're going to load in all of the commands in the /commands directory once we do have them in there. One more thing that we will need is fs, which is going to allow us to load in files. So I'm going to add a function, which if you follow my previous tutorials, you should already have, called get files, or get files. It'll take in a path and an ending, and it will return. It's going to read from that path, and it's going to pick out all the files that that ends with this ending. And here we'll want to export this handler for /command. So this is going to load in all of our /commands. So const, we're going to pull out the client object. This is the deconstruction, and let /commands equals get files, and we'll do /commands, and they should all end in .js. And if /commands is length is 0, then we're going to console.log no /commands loaded. Otherwise, we're going to go through each of these. These are, again, still file names. We're going to loop through each. So this is the file name. F will be the file name. And if we are reloading, if we're reloading, which you don't have to worry about this right now, but we're going to go ahead and delete it from our cache. So again, this will only come into play when you do add in a reload command, but for now we don't have this. So we have the reload and const command. We're going to go ahead and import in this /command from that directory. So /commands / and with that file name there. So this actually loads in the actual code. And finally, we're going to be setting a variable under client. We're going to call it /commands. I'll be setting that in a minute here. And we're going to set that to be the /commands name and the /commands rest of this code. And that's our handler. So now if we go to index.js here, we're going to now add in let's see, we can add it in right here. We'll want to add a new property to client called /commands, and we're going to be using a Discord collection. A Discord collection is basically like a map where you have keys that are mapped to some object. For our case, we're going to have the name of the /command mapped to the rest of the information about the /command, like the code that's going to execute. And here we'll have load /commands. We're going to have bot reload, and we're going to pull in the code from our /commands, and we're going to invoke it. And finally here we're going to call load /commands with bot, and we're not reloading, so it's going to be false. So this is going to be loading in our /commands. Now the issue here is /commands is a little bit different from our typical commands. Our typical commands, we can just write into the bot and have it run, and whenever some message is sent with a certain prefix and a command that matches that string that we specify, it will trigger. /commands are different in that you have to actually load them in to Discord ahead of time so that it knows that the /command is there. If you have used /commands before, if you type / and then part of a command, it will show up in this little menu here and show you like the options and autocomplete. So you have to load that into Discord first, and now we're going to set that up. So over here, I'm going to create a new file called load/.js. And in here, it's going to be really similar to what we have in index. So I'm actually going to go ahead and copy some parts of it. So, okay, let's just copy over the whole thing actually. Now we can go ahead and actually load in these commands into our guild. which was why we specified the application.commands when you invited the bot. Here, we'll just say for now client ID, and I'm going to specify my specific guild. You can put whatever guilds you want. This is only for that specific guild. And under the ready, we're going to load in our actual slash command. So I'm actually going to move this down here below after we have loaded in our slash commands. And here we will have, first we're going to want to grab the guild with that from that guild ID. So we're going to go to client.guilds.cache.get guild ID. So essentially we're trying to get the guild object that matches the guild ID that we specified here. And if there's no guild, it means something has happened. Our bot doesn't see that guild, or it's not logged in properly. So we can just error and say target guild not found, and we can just return there. Otherwise, we're going to actually set the commands. And I forgot, we do need to make this function async. So go ahead and add that keyword there. This allows us to use the await keyword. So guild.commands.set, and here we're going to be using some notation that might be a little bit confusing. I wouldn't worry about trying to understand it right now, but essentially what it's doing is it puts all of the slash commands information here into a single array, passes this into the guild.commands, and it sets them. So Discord knows, okay, these are the commands that this bot will have in this guild. And finally, let's go ahead and have a success message. So successfully loaded in. Let's go ahead and specify the amount of commands, and we can do that by doing client./commands.size. And here we'll want to add process.exit, and we can exit with 0. So what this is doing is telling the node process to end itself, saying that, okay, we've loaded in the commands, we are done. Okay, so now let's go ahead and head back to index. Okay, I think we are set here. One thing we will need to do is now handle the interaction create, which is what is going to actually be triggered when a slash command is executed. So let's add that here. So client.on interaction create. This will pass in an interaction object. And interaction, there's multiple different types. There's commands, there's the drop-down menus, and there's buttons. But for us, we're only going to worry about the commands. So we're going to be ignoring any kind of interaction that is not a command. So if interaction.isCommand is false, we're going to just return and ignore that. And because we're only doing slash commands in a guild, if the interaction is not from within a guild, then we're also going to return. And here we're also going to reply with an error message. Interaction.reply, this command can only be used in a server. And now let's grab the slash command from the slash commands Discord collection that we initiated previously. We're going to take the interaction, and this interaction will have a property called command name. And so we're going to try to fetch that from slash commands. If it's a slash command that doesn't exist, then this will be false because it wouldn't be in our bot. So we can just return here that we didn't find anything. So interaction.reply invalid slash command, which this should never happen as long as you don't delete the files in the slash command after you've loaded them in. And finally, here we're going to add something that's going to check the permissions of the slash command. So I'm going to eventually have something in slash command called perms, which is going to contain any required permissions. So if the person that executed the slash command, so interaction.member, if their permissions if they don't have the permission of the slash command, now we'll call this perm. If they don't have the required perm to execute it, then we're going to go ahead and give them an error and tell them that they don't have permission. So return interaction.reply. You do not have permission for this command. And finally, we can go ahead and actually run our command, and we're going to go ahead and pass in the client as well as the interaction. Okay. Now let's go ahead and actually add our first slash command. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and add, let's try the timeout, timeout.js. So in here, we're going to go ahead and create our command. So const run, we're going to make this an asynchronous function with the client and interaction. So we're actually not really going to be using this client here, but I'm including it there just in case. And in the interaction, we'll be needing a couple properties, but let's actually define the parameters of this command first. So I'm going to go ahead and export module.exports. I'm going to call this command timeout. We're going to description is going to be timeout a member. The perm is going to be, it's called moderate members. So if you go to the Discord permissions of the roles, I believe it's called manage timeouts or something like that. And that permission within the Discord API is actually called moderate members. And options is going to be the additional options that we can provide after the initial command itself. So one thing that we're going to need is to know who we want to timeout. So we're going to have a user. Description, we're going to say the user to timeout. We're going to also have a type. For type, we're just going to have user. Make sure this is all caps. This is the type that is going to try to pull. You'll see in a minute here when we do run this why this is important. And required, yes, we have to know who we want to timeout. And then we're going to have duration, which is the duration of the timeout. For those of you that are unfamiliar with Discord, essentially the timeout command is a built-in way for Discord to execute mutes. The name, we're going to call it duration. The description, we're going to call it the duration of the timeout. And type, this will be a number, the length of the amount of time. And then we're going to be using something called choices, which is going to provide the user with a set of choices that they can pick from. And for these choices, I will be giving something, I'll be creating a variable called duration. So I'm just going to copy paste this because it's a lot of very basic code or very basic values, but essentially what it has is each option has a name and a value. The name is just a string that's displayed to the user, so 60 seconds, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, so on. And the value here is the amount of time in milliseconds. So milliseconds is essentially seconds times 1,000. So 60 seconds would be just 60 times 1,000, and same with all the rest of these values. And we're going to go ahead and pass this in. So we have durations. And then after this, we need one more thing. We need the reason. So let's add name is reason. Description will be reason for punishment. And type will be string. And required is going to be false. So we're going to make this optional. And I forgot here, this will be true. Require is true. Okay, now let's actually write our code. So this here, right here, is going to, when we load in the command to Discord, is going to tell it, okay, we're going to generate this command called timeout, and it's going to have these options that the user is going to fill in. Now, under the run, we're going to first fetch our options that we put here. So user, duration, reason. So first thing we're going to need to do is to fetch the member. So interaction.options.getMember, and I misspelled option. So options.getMember, and we're going to pass in the name of the variable, which we specified here was user. And then let duration be interaction.options.getNumber, and this is going to be duration, oops, no comma, and the reason is going to be interaction.options.getString, and we're going to call it reason. And this, again, since we made it optional, it was required as false, right? So here we're going to add in a fallback, so no reason given. So if there wasn't a reason here, this would be null, and so this OR operator is going to assign no reason given to this variable called reason here. Okay, now first thing we're going to need to do is verify that the member exists. If for some reason the member is invalid, we're going to return and say interaction.reply invalid member, and then here we're going to try and time out the user. So I'll be wrapping this in a try catch. The reason is because in case something happens, I want to say, oh, well, I wasn't able to time out this user, so reply with some kind of error message. So to time out the user, we'll do await member.timeout, and we're going to pass in our duration and the reason. And here we're going to return a success message. So interaction.reply, and we can say something like member.user.tag. So this is the user that's going to be timed out, has been timed out for. And here we're going to use our durations variable that we created up here, and we're going to reference the name here of how long they were muted, or how long they were timed out for. Hold on, durations dot. So we're going to use a dot find. So we're going to find a duration from that durations object that matches the amount of time they were timed out for. So duration equals the value, and we're going to have dot name with a reason of, and we can just throw the reason in there. Okay, now for our error, if there is some kind of error, then we're going to go ahead, let's go ahead and console log the error, and let's go ahead and return with an error message. So interaction reply failed to time out member.user.tag. And okay, this should be done. So let's go ahead and let's try this out. So to load in our slash commands, the first thing we're going to need to do is run this load slash. So what you'll want to do is node and dot slash load slash. We'll go ahead and run that, and it says successfully loaded in 1. I forgot to write slash commands, but that one command should be loaded in. And now let's go to index, and we'll go ahead and run our bot, and we are logged in. So now if we go to Discord, we should type slash, and you'll see here this name my bot. You see it's loaded in here, and it also has the optional here, the duration, the reason. Slash timeout, duration 5, reason, and there we go. It's been muted, and if we go to the audit logs, we should be able to see here. If I disable streamer mode, that it has been timed out for 5 minutes exactly. So now let's go ahead and add in our other two commands, which will be ban and kick. These are very similar to timeout, so I'm actually going to go ahead and just copy the code. Let's go ahead and create ban.js, and let's create kick.js. So for kick, let's just paste this in. Let's make our edits. So we won't need durations here, and we'll keep the here. Let's change the name to kick first, and let's change the description. This is kick a member, and here we'll switch it to kick members. I believe is the name of the permissions. Yep, and name, it's still going to be a user, and we don't need duration anymore, so we can go ahead and delete that. And reason, we're still going to want a reason for punishment. And up here, our member, again, we don't need duration, so let's delete that. Reason we can keep, invalid member, we can keep that check. And here, instead of member.timeout, we can have interaction.guild.members.kick, and we're going to kick the member and specify the reason in the second parameter. And here, of course, we're going to update this and say member has been kicked for, and we can go ahead and delete all that except for the reason. So they have been kicked for that reason. And of course, the error message will have failed to kick. And yeah, that should be our kick command done. I'm going to go ahead and copy the kick since that's more similar to ban. And let's go ahead and paste that again. Again, down here, let's update to say ban. Here, let's say bans a member. This will be ban members. And here we still want the user, and here we still want the reason. And up here, instead of kicking, we will be banning them. So guild.bans.create, and we can create it with the member and go ahead and add in a reason. Okay. Now let's go ahead and update this. It should say ban. And here, let's go ahead and update this to say ban as well. I think we are set. So let's go ahead and reload our command. So we're going to execute the node and load slash command. We'll see all three have been loaded in, and let's go ahead and start the bot up again. Okay, it's been logged in. And if we come here and we type slash, we'll see that the other two has been loaded in. So right now, this user is still in the server. Let's go ahead and try kicking them out. So slash kick, let's kick the user with reason test, and they've been kicked. You can see they're gone. And if we check the audit logs here, you can see that it has been kicked. And there we go. You've successfully created your timeout, kick, and ban commands, and you have a working slash command handler. You can add any additional slash commands as much as you want and continue with the same pattern. If you found the video helpful, feel free to leave a like down below. If you want more content like this and you want to follow me, hit the subscribe button. This Discord server, if you want to join it, just to say stop by and say hello, or if you need help, go ahead and join. I'll leave the link in the top right hand corner in the description and shown on screen right now. And that's about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.